everyone, and welcome to CBTV Sports Weekly Review. Mike Campbell along with Tucker Warner back with you talking local sports in the Central Virginia region, and we're going to talk about high school lacrosse. And you know, Tucker, this is one sport in the area that has really, in the last probably 5 or 6 years, really taken off as far as not only the spectator sport, but also participation.
Yeah, and it's always nice to see these sports that used to be niche sports just
Right.
taking off, really gaining a lot of popularity, and it's good to see lacrosse is getting the same treatment.
And we're starting to see some of these lacrosse players now get the college scholarships, too. You know, they used to be, like you say, it was a club level, so you didn't really get that recognition or an opportunity to move on to play in college, but we're starting to see some really good players that now are moving on to Division I, II, and III.
Absolutely, and it's great to see more opportunities for our local athletes.
And at boys high school lacrosse action on Monday, it was North Stafford opening up their season with a win as they topped Massaponax. 17-4 was the final. Zach Williams leading the way as he scored 4 times for the Wolverines. Also added a pair of assists in that victory. And Troy Hubbard added 2 goals and an assist for North Stafford. We talk about not only the boys lacrosse, but now in the last couple of years, girls lacrosse is on the high school sports scene as well.
Yeah, and you know, it's a different game between the two of them, but everybody can enjoy both of the sports. It's really a great experience for both the boys and girls teams.
Kind of, if you're comparing, it's kind of like boys basketball and girls basketball, where a lot of folks, you know, talk about girls basketball being a little bit more fundamentally sound and so forth. Really, that's the type of situation because the boys' game a little bit more physical than the girls' game, but the girls' game with a little bit more speed and a little bit more finesse in that sport.
Yeah, and I think that's the right way to put it. I think you can compare it to boys and girls ice hockey as well,
Right,
but
exactly.
you know, it's a great game no matter who's playing it, and I highly recommend going out to check a game here.
Right, and congratulations to these parents that were really pushing on the boys and girls side of lacrosse to get this sport into the Virginia High School League as a regular sport, not just, as you mentioned earlier, a club sport. That's been a big bonus, too. And in girls lacrosse, those two schools met again, Massaponax and North Stafford, and it was Massaponax getting the win 20-11 over North Stafford. Now, the Panthers are going to be led this season by a pair of sisters, Savannah Collin and also her sister Madison, and they certainly led the way in that victory over North Stafford. How about this? Savannah Collin, 9 goals she scored in that one game alone, and her sister Madison added 6 goals and 3 assists in that victory for Massaponax. A couple of other girls lacrosse matchups from Monday. It was Kennedy Buchner collecting 6 goals and 2 assists, and Anna Maupin had a goal, had 4 goals as Colonial Forge was a winner. The final in their victory over Stafford was 13-9, and Mountain View was also victorious as they knocked off Brook Point. The final in that one was 13-2. Brittany Vargas leading the way with 4 goals for Mountain View, and teammate Lily Briglinson added 3 goals for the Blackhawks in that victory as Mountain View was victorious in that lacrosse matchup. High school baseball action, one game to tell you about from Monday, and it was Cortland. They used a 4-run 6th inning to down Massaponax 7-4. Zach Teeple had 3 hits, and he also scored 3 times for the Cougars. He also pitched for Cortland, and he struck out 5 on the mound. And Dakota Lan added 2 hits and knocked in 3 runs for the Cougars. And speaking of high school baseball, of course, you had a chance to do the Mountain View Colonial Forge game, I believe, is with the matchup. But we've talked before about this area, very rich as far as baseball players go.
Definitely, and that's why you'll see so many guys over the course of the season sign with Division I, Division II, Division III college programs, no matter what level. You know, obviously a lot of talented players in the region. You'll probably see somebody from each high school go on to play college ball, if not multiple somebodies from each team.
And, of course, last week I talked about the coaching staff. You had Zach Galati at Colonial Forge, very successful coach. Craig Lopez at Mountain View and Labruciano at North Stafford. Massaponax and Riverbend the last couple of years, their programs have picked up steam as well. And I talked to Chancellor, usually in the past has been a very solid baseball program. And, of course, years ago when Rick Holcomb was the coach at Cortland, they were a perennial playoff contender. They've gone through some coaching changes. But, again, whenever you talk about Cortland and Spotsylvania, those are programs that certainly have had some winning traditions.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, you look at any of the teams in the area, I think you can find at one point one of them had a huge winning tradition.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes they'll go through down years too, but, you know, when you have that history on your side, you'll come back eventually.
Yeah, winning means the winning traditions. A lot of these underclassmen, they want to keep that winning tradition going. And, of course, we'll have more high school baseball action later on this season on CVTV. And in high school softball, those same 2 schools met, Massaponax and Cortland, and it was Massaponax cruising to a 14-1 win over the Cougars. Kaylin Spencer driving in 4 runs. She also smacked a 2-run homer for the Panthers in that victory. Molly Graham had 3 hits and drove in a pair of runs as well for Massaponax. And a pretty good pitching debut for freshman Kira Kohler, her varsity debut, all she did was toss a two-hitter in picking up the wins.
There you go.
That's right. Also on Monday, another softball game. It was King George edging River Bend. 3-2 was the final in that one. Ashley Cooper homered and drove in a pair of runs for King George in that victory. Boys high school soccer action from Tuesday. It was Colonial Forge. John Platt, he got the game-winning goal for the Eagles in their 3-2 victory over Stafford. Eric Messner scored twice for the Eagles in that victory. Three different players scored as Massaponax playing North Stafford. The final 3-0. Andrew Rogers, Reese Rivas, and Daniel Kim all finding the back of the net for the Panthers in that victory. And Riley Croce scored 3 goals. Mountain View topped Brook Point 5-1. And Chancellor also was a winner. They rolled over Eastern View. 8-0 was the final in that one. Devin Hewitt scoring a pair of goals and added an assist for Chancellor in that victory. And Chancellor is another one of those programs. We talk about winning traditions. They've gone so many years, always making the regional playoffs. And it's an unbelievable streak that Coach Mike Webb has put together at Chancellor.
Yeah, and if you can score 8 goals on a team, that means you're probably going to continue that success this season.
You're going to put up a W on your side of things, right?
Yeah, almost definitely, if you can get that much.
That's right. Girls high school soccer action, Katie Roush's second half goal. That was the difference. That was the game-winning goal in Stafford's 1-0 win over Colonial Forge. Mountain View and Brook Point, they went to overtime, still couldn't decide who wanted to win it, and ended in a scoreless tie. And 2 goals from Tyra Smalls carried Massaponax to a 2-0 victory over North Stafford. Eastern View, also a winner, they edged Chancellor in girls soccer. 2-1 was the final in that one. Hayden Berg scored the lone goal for the Chargers in that contest. And in college sports action, the University of Mary Washington athletic teams in action on Wednesday. And the baseball team fell to St. Mary's. 6-2 was the final. So the Eagles are now 4-5 in Capital Athletic Conference play. And the Mary Washington women's softball team, a doubleheader with Lynchburg, and they split their twin bill, winning the opener. It took 10 innings, but Mary Washington posted a 3-2 victory as Caroline Gallahan scored the game-winning run in the 10th inning for the Eagles. 4-3 was the final. I believe I said it was 3-2. 4-3 was the final. Hannah Hawks homered in that contest for Mary Washington. And in the second, by the way, Hannah Otterman was the winning pitcher in that contest, scattering 7 hits and striking out 3. Lynchburg came back to win the nightcap. 4-2 was the final. Logan Walker drove in all 4 runs with a pair of homers for Lynchburg in that one. And the women's lacrosse team also in action on Wednesday, and they fell to Washington College. The final in that one was 12-9. Katie Smucker had 4 goals in that contest for Mary Washington. The Eagles are now 6-3 overall this season. Okay, we're going to take a break, and he will talk some more, believe me. We're going to talk about the Division I men's basketball tournament. As usual, we've had some surprises this March Madness. We'll tell you about the Sweet 16 matchups when we continue this edition of CBTV Sports Week in Review.